Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So a new archetype just got revealed for Alliance Insight, and yeah, this is a crazy one. Remember the video that we did on Dragon's Mind like just a bit ago, and its application with 2500 attack and defense monsters? Well, Konami decided to just give us an entire archetype that just works well with this card. I introduce you to Regenesis. So Regenesis is an archetype that composes of 2500 attack and defense monsters, and outside of the god Deuteronomion, I think I butchered that name, every other Regenesis monster has a special gimmick. They can all special summon themselves if a monster with 2500 attack or defense is already face up on the field. They all have a quick effect to tribute themselves to do a special effect, with the exception of Bedimar. And they can all return to the hand during your opponent's end phase. Dragon Valkyria can pop a spell or trap. Bedimar, upon summon, can add you a Regenesis. Shemat, upon tribute, can negate the activation of an opponent's card, I think it is. Yep, by just tributing another Regenesis. And Bifret can bounce a monster. The exceptions to this rule, as I mentioned beforehand, is Bedimar because it adds you a Regenesis, and Deuteronomion, which upon being special summoned can set a Regenesis spell and trap, which we'll go over in a second. It also inflicts piercing, and during the battle phase it can gain 2500 attack. So yeah, this monster can just get real big real quick. Now that we talked about the monsters, let's go with the spell and traps. Let's start with Regenesis. Regenesis takes a Regenesis monster and either adds it to your hand or sends it to the graveyard. Or, if you control a Regenesis monster, it can add any monster with 2500 attack and defense from your deck to your hand instead. We can go over a few examples later. If this card's in your graveyard, except the turn it will send there, you can banish it, target Regenesis in your graveyard, and special summon it. So, really good spell card. Like just having a Rhoda for the archetype is already really strong. This monster also adds you Regenesis monster, and having the condition of 2500 attack or defense is not hard at all. Like, you will see that in a small moment. So the fact that these cards are splashable with a lot of themes is already really strong. And just giving yourself recursion with this Regenesis card, it already makes this archetype very promising. Now let's go with the next card. This is Tora Regenesis. This is a quick play spell, and it reads, you cannot special summon from the extra deck until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. Also, special summon one Regenesis monster from your deck, but send it to the graveyard during your opponent's end phase. During your main phase, except this turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target one of your banished Regenesis, special summon it. Okay, so with this archetype entirely, since all these monsters are really big and all these monsters do just one special gimmick by themselves, this special extra deck lock doesn't really matter that much. Also, it's after this card resolves, so you can just play any archetype that you want and then just trigger this card. This card is already really good for the archetype because, again, this card can summon the Bedimar can just add you something else, like for example the Deuteronominon. And the Deuteronominon can just set you Regenesis, and then Regenesis can just add you another card, and you can just keep going. And whatever you banish with Deuteronominon can just be resummoned back with Regenesis for like in another turn. So the level of recursion behind this team is already ridiculous. Let's go with the last one. This is Regenesis Burst. And this card reads, you can only use the one effect in the second effect of this card once per turn, and only once per turn. Basically, you can only just use one effect. First effect, you can send a Regenesis monster from your deck to your graveyard, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change it to face-up defense position. During your opponent's turn, you can send this face-up card from your spell and trap zone to your graveyard, special summon as many Regenesis with different names as possible from your hand, graveyard, and or banishment, but send them to the graveyard during the end phase. Okay. Remember everything I said about recursion with this archetype? Yeah, I think this is getting to another level. This card is basically Soul Charge. Not only that, it's a once per turn Book of Moon in a continuous trap card. Yeah, I think I don't have to say this. I think this archetype is already playable since this first wave. It's hard to tell if we're going to get another wave of this archetype or if we're going to get other support cards. But just with this theme alone, this archetype is already playable by itself. This is very reminiscent to something like Kashtira and Dogmatika. And the fact that it asks for 2,500, it's already really good. If you remember what we talked about with Dragon's Mind, then you already remember these cards. Remember these? Yeah, these all work with Regenesis. So there's nothing stopping you from playing Regenesis with Asamina engine, Regenesis with Elvish, Regenesis Kashtira, Regenesis Bestial. Like, this is already really good. And that's not even talking about the extra deck. Like, you can pair White Forest with this, you can pair Blue Eyes, you can pair, like, Invoke, if it ever becomes a thing again. Ryziel, Malice, any link archetype because of Zelantis, Melodious, like, the list just goes on and on. This card is already really good within the entire archetype as well. Just making it, just give out protection to all these monsters is already a strong feat. So yeah, I don't think there's not too much I have to talk about this deck. Like, and it gets even more ridiculous. Like, the card pool just gets even bigger and bigger with this archetype. Also, remember when it says that Regenesis can add you a monster with 2,500 attack and defense? Yeah, it can add you stuff like the Iris Sword Soul. So, yeah, this is a very ridiculous archetype. I think this archetype is already powerful on its own. There's no way this cannot be tier 1, like, after its release. And it just gets even more ridiculous later on the line. Like, imagine you just playing like something that involves Primite and just tutoring the Primite engine into Blue Eyes and then Blue Eyes into all these other monsters. Blue Eyes has 2,500 defense, so it works with this entire archetype. And take note, these are all outside of the Deuteronominon. These are all level 7 monsters. Level 7 and level 8. So yeah, you have 2 level 7s and you have 2 level 8s with this archetype. So you can make rank 8s with this archetype. You can make rank 7s with this archetype. You can do a mix and match of like all the themes. Like this being a dragon means you can pair this with, like, for example, dragon rulers. This being a fiend type means you can pair this up with something like Unchained or like Life Twins. Just to give you an example, like this being a warrior, a fire warrior means you can pair this with Infernoble Knights. Like, there's just way too many things to talk about when it comes to like this archetype. I could be literally all day and night with talking about this. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. I might actually play around with these like very soon in the future. This is already really promising. Yeah, there without a shadow of a doubt, Alliance Insight is going to be a format changing set. Alright, that's it from me. Hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. Yeah, I guess this is a new Regenesis of an era. I had to make that pun. Anyway, see ya.